Interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to Profits of IT. I'm Jim Punzenberger. I'm the creator of the Managed Prospecting System and the founder of Neutron Solutions, also your host today. And today I have a great guest. Been looking forward to having him on, Michael France. Michael is the CEO of Taylor Business Group. Michael, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a quick bit about Taylor Business Group, please?
Thank you for having me, Jim. My name is Michael France with Taylor Business Group. I'm the CEO and managing partner. Taylor Business Group is a consulting and coaching company focused on the IT providers throughout the country and actually across the world. We're very focused in helping our IT clients, managed service providers, managed security providers grow their business and evolve their business. And we have a number of tools that we use to do that, which really helps facilitate them accelerating their business and their profits while making really great decisions in doing so.
Got it. So I'm an MSP. If I'm an MSP owner and I want to take my MSP to the next level, what's one specific way you could help me with that?
So one of the key ways that we work with our MSP clients is we utilize our proprietary tool called the Roadmap to Profitability. It's through this tool that we look at an MSP's financials, and we look at them both from a product and services perspective, and we really help them understand what are the key performance indicators. We call them benchmarks that you need to achieve to have a profitable, successful, and growing MSP business. So our tool analyzes their financials, allowing us and the rest of my team of former owners and technology owners who have sold their business and have come over to provide coaching and to give back to the industry. So we use the tool combined with our expertise as well as our processes that we have that really defines the different steps that an MSP and the owner go through as they grow their business from whatever level they're at today, whether they're smaller, starting out at $1 million or $500,000, or whether they are at 15 million or 20 million. Because as we talked about, Jim, at different time parts or different pieces of their growth time, let me say that again. As we talked about, at different times, the MSP, based on their revenue and their growth, have to make certain evolutionary decisions. And we drive those decisions through our expertise in coaching, as well as what the data is showing us. And we help the owners really hone in on how the data supports the decision making.
Cool. So, you have benchmarks on the data, so they know what the numbers should be based on whatever stage they're at in their business. Is that correct?
That's correct. So not only do we do that one-on-one, but we also have a formula where we work within what we call business improvement groups. So that we look at, and we look at each of the MSPs in this case, and we look at their size and the maturity and experience level of the owner, where they're at in their growth and expansion time horizon. So we combine those together and we take a group of non-geo-conflicted owners and we actually work with them through a business improvement group format, which includes conference calls and it includes in-person meetings. And there's a lot of dialogue there and comparison of the financials and the results of their performance against the benchmarks as a group. And then we work to improve that business because most of them are all in roughly the same stage of growth. So that's how we kind of complete the formula. And then from a Taylor Business Group perspective, there's other steps that are key for their business that aren't necessarily intuitive. One of them is a P&L is only as good as the data that's going into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we help make sure that they're accounting for their business correctly. Thus, we can compare them to our benchmarks and we can compare them to each other within the business improvement group.
Got it. So before we started recording, we were talking about informed decision making for
Mhm.
MSPs, and that's something that is a topic that I've kind of heard in other places too. Just how can MSPs, well, I guess really businesses in general or owners and executives in general of business can make decisions better. And I guess specifically applying it to MSPs, what tips do you have for an MSP business owner to make informed decisions, and how can they do that? Um, you know, you mentioned the P&L and having data. Where do they start to uh, be able to make an informed decision?
That's a really great question, Jim. And I would kind of take it back to what I would say is the uh, common denominator that occurs within every owner and MSP as they grow. So, a great example, Jim, would be, the owner saying, I need to hire more technical staff for my help desk. So, an easy question is let's quantify that. How do you know you need to hire another help desk tech? Whether it's level 1, 2, or 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when they're still growing and still maturing, it's much more subjective than objective. So they'll hear from their help desk folks, oh, we're slammed, or they'll see the number of tickets rising, right? So it appears as if they need to add more bandwidth to the help desk. Well, from a business perspective, we really need to quantify that. Well, because if you're not quantifying it, it's kind of just based on the moment. And you could be busy in that moment and think that you need to hire folks, whereas you may not. So we help them quantify that in a simple example would be, well, what is the utilization rate of your current technical team? In other words, how efficient are they?
Uh-huh.
And then the owner could say, well, I'm not, how do I calculate that? And we
Right.
would say, well, there's a couple of best practices. So for first example is to have that policy that says, every activity that you do has a ticket, right? And some tickets may be billable, some may be part of an agreement. So it's, assigned to their MSP agreement with the client. Some might be non-billable time, right? Technicians and engineers have to, attend educational seminars to keep their skills going. So that's a non-billable ticket. So once you have the foundation in that everything's being tracked within your PSA tool of how many tickets are coming in per tech, we can then calculate the technician's efficiency rate. So if you take a standard person that's working a full-time job, and you deduct from that, standard paid leave days, like holidays, and you
Yep.
deduct from that vacation, and you deduct from that some administration time, you kind of get to a percentage of efficiency. And that's approximately 78% of their time being efficient against the ticket side and driving it forward. If the
So
owner can push that even higher, what that does is it's actually making more profit, because
so
adding that headcount
78%.
is so expensive. So that's an example of where
So 78% is the ideal, or higher than that, peak efficiency. And so that's basically amount of time that they can spend billable to either projects or agreements or something like that. Is that correct?
projects, agreements, block time, non-billable time, admin time, research time, all of that stuff goes in there as a ticket. And then we can calculate the engineers, the individual engineer's efficiency. the owner can then look at how efficient is my team. I can tweak that. I may make some alignment changes and find out that there's more bandwidth available. Perhaps we'll look at their ticket count and find that the engineers on the help desk are spending too much time looking at auto-generated tickets, say from their RMM tool. Backup didn't happen, this didn't happen. Then we can improve that by adding additional software or tools that can help automatically handle some of that background noise, so that you're really focused on the tickets that are coming in, and you also understand what your reactive ticket rate is. And that helps you make the best decision on which resources you really need to allocate. Because a service resource is, an important hire, and it's very important that, you're scaling your help desk to keep your customer satisfaction at its highest, right? So most MSPs
Yes.
should use some type of customer sat tracking software, where you get the little smiley faces, or you say they were great, and you get feedback from the clients. And with that data, knowing the customer service is high, and you don't need to maybe backfill that service tech, or you've made some efficiencies, or you've added the resource. Now you can switch back as an owner and say, I can grow more projects and more sales. So the interesting balance in an MSP world, from especially when you're smaller, say sub 3 million, is that whole aspect of the balance of costs to service the clients versus the amount of project work coming out of your client base and onboarding and adding new logos, all from the sales side. And obviously there's a projects component in there as you grow. So it's a balancing scale that has to be kept in balance to maximize your NOI. And by doing so, you're always balancing both sides. Because Jim, as we talked about before, owners that then go and drive sales really hard could have an unintended consequences of, now you're backlogged on onboarding. So now customer sat could actually go down for your existing base. You want to keep them the same, and that means adding those resources very, very timed and very specifically designed on the business's need, and the other components of the business being able to continue to stay in equal ways.
So is there, do you have numbers as far as what the best practices is of when should I add more people to the help desk?
So yeah, I mean, I think there's really two or three indicators on how to add people and when to add people, especially service and engineering people. And again, we're talking, Jim, in a very general way about MSPs. So we don't want to say that, if you're not doing block time or your projects are different, this still applies to everybody, regardless of where they are in their business. So to answer your question, the quantifiable data that both comes into roadmap to profitability, looking also at the P&L data that's in there, very clearly indicates that you are resource short or your resource are overloaded. It will also show other areas that we may get into talking about in this session, which is, are your costs too high? In other words, the amount that you're paying for your services team providing you the right profit? And many times we find that it's not a cost problem on the headcount side. It may be more likely that the pricing that they're selling their services for are too low. So it can show both of those.
Okay, and so at what so you're talking about 78% efficiency, then I suppose this would be like a utilization rate also of that there'd be at some point your team is going to be at a utilization rate that's going to be high enough to support additional people on it. At what point what number should I be looking for to then start adding people?
So um, in order to quantify that adding of people, I would say two things. One is customer satisfaction high? And without adding a resource, you're starting to feel or see tickets that are stretching out. And it's not your help desk people related. In other words, we're making the assumption that, the team that's taking those calls and dealing with those tickets are doing them, appropriately. In other words, they have the skill set to deliver
Uh-huh.
on that, right? So it's all balancing the customer satisfaction side. That's why tracking customer sat and turnaround on tickets and efficiency and management of tickets. Make sure you have high customer service. If you have high customer service, what you'll start to see is the utilization rate of your engineers start going up. So going up is good, because if you're getting 82, 84, 85% efficiency, even higher than that, you're doing more work for your clients at no additional cost to your P&L. So it gets to be a little bit of ensuring that customer satisfaction isn't affected while trying to drive technician utilization higher than the base of 78%. But you cannot sustain that. So if you drive your engineering team, say, into the 85 range or higher, it's great for the P&L. It's great for the fact that the clients are still being satisfied, but you can burn your engineers out, right? So
Mhm.
the data will show the efficiency rate of the engineers, wanting to drive them up higher for profit purposes. And as you're at 78%, you should be looking at, what is the next engineer I'm going to hire, what role they need to fill, because recruiting an engineer these days is a whole different podcast, right?
Right.
On how difficult it is to recruit the right people that match your culture and your values and so forth. So to directly answer your question, it's the quantifiable data on managing customer sat. It's the actual ticket flow that we're tracking, that you can see month over month, week over week, or day over day. And it's also the fact that you're looking at the pipeline of sales and onboarding coming in. So you're trying, as an owner, to stay a little bit ahead of it by clearly understanding the data. That's both the sales data of new logos, projects business that are coming out of your existing clients, and of course, the service engineers that are out there taking the help desk calls from the clients.
Got it. So you got to keep all three of those things in balance so that
Right. And if you don't have if you don't have something to look at, like in our case, and we're not showing that on this podcast, but perhaps that would be a different one, is to look at how, roadmap to profitability provides you the data. It's really simplified into gauges against the benchmarks. You can adjust the benchmark because we have different levels of benchmarks, from profit masters, which is, best in class, also down to those MSPs that still may be more hardware centric while trying to shift to much more of a service based model.
got it. All right. So if so basically it's not a it's you need to have the data to track, and then also the forecast data too to go with it, so that you can keep all those in balance.
Correct. And if you're, Jim, from the experience you have and so forth, when you're smaller, the owner can kind of intrinsically kind of know this. They kind of know the pipeline, because more than likely the owner is driving sales at that certain revenue level, right?
Yes.
So there's already this kind of knowledge that's coming. And of course, we promote that that's being properly forecasted and you're documenting your opportunities. But when you're smaller, $1 million, $1.5 million company, give or take, most of that you're managing within your head. And we promote, first of all, let's understand how we want to manage pipeline and understand the flow of projects, in order to have visibility, in order to plan properly and allocate your resources. Because your help desk resources some of them will double as a project deployment person, the person that comes off the desk and goes and deploys the actual project, because you haven't built out a project team that's separate. And it's not efficient to have a head count for technical installation, if you will, or technical review that's sitting in projects, yet the help desk has tickets. You blend them together, right? You maximize the people you have on hand and apply them appropriately against the tasks at hand.
Got it. So as far as if any of our listeners is looking for more information on this, or to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
Any of the MSP owners out there that like to chat further can obviously reach out to me at my email address. They can go to our website and send an inquiry in just through our info button. But we're very active when we talk with owners, in the sense of, they ask a lot of good questions, like you are, like, well, how do I make these decisions, and what helps me quantify them? And that goes from expansion in sales and service, as well as keeping administrative costs and tool costs, the tools you use to provide the services to the client, like your RMM or your spam software, et cetera, all in check. And that you're constantly evolving, because the landscape for an MSP is changing now, to where security is much more of a need to provide to your clients, which is a great opportunity to upsell them on your per seat price. But those that have been doing this for quite a while are finding that I used to sell my silver, bronze, or gold version of my MSP solution, and now I need to add on security. And I'm a proponent of saying, in this environment, with new clients, you should start with security already in there and work backwards, right? Because adding it on, the clients can sometimes, the end users can sometimes not understand why you want to change the per seat price, because the environment, the threat environment, in order for the MSP to help protect them from viruses and malware, et cetera, continues to evolve. And for the MSP to support their client, they have to evolve too. So many of them find ways that they go back and offer the security side, and the clients get it. New logos, we're a proponent of starting with your offering that includes the security or base security products as what you lead with. Just doing and selling how we did it 3 or 5 years ago, back in the days, Jim, where it was, an MSP, or then you are an MSSP, which includes, you have a SOC and a NOC, and you have all these other things. It's become more where securities come down from being a full-on MSSP to where your MSPs need to include that as a part of their overall per seat bundle.
It's all together. It's one thing, not separate now.
It also resonates in the client's mind when you're pitching to them. And then of course, it's also that much more important when you're doing your, VCIO / QBRs with your clients, because in the end, you're their trusted advisor, the trusted technology advisor. So you're planning with your clients as the owner, and then as you grow, the people that you put in those roles, the evolution of their technology. So you plan with them, of course, when the end user needs to upgrade a server, move to the cloud, add new users, et cetera, et cetera. And you bring really that extra value to them. It's the same thing that we did, 10 years ago in technology, where you go out and meet with a client and say, yeah, you need this and 4 laptops. And it's just now become more, it's expanded more, because it includes these other areas, networking, security, best practices, like, everyone needs to use 2-factor, and just those types of things that we find the clients don't do.
So you mentioned you can be emailed to get in contact with you. What is your email address, Michael?
Sure. My email address is mfrance@taylorbusiness, taylorbusinessgroup.com.
mfrance@taylorbusinessgroup.com. And your website is taylorbusinessgroup.com.
That's correct. And on our website, we talk about our business improvement groups. We talk about our roadmap to profitability, and you can also see, Jim, as we've talked about as well, and this is where we can go granular in future podcasts. There's whole aspects of making sure you align your accounting correctly, right? So we offer these supplemental services to help round out and move the MSPs forward, so that it's just not left to them to do it on their own. They need that expertise. So we can bring that all to them in kind of a full solution kind of way based on their individual needs.
Got it. And their first step is to email you at mfrance@taylorbusinessgroup.com.
Correct. And we're very, both the way I believe it and the way that our team believes it is, we're here to help, right? It's not about, it's not all about the money. There's also the results that come from the success of our clients. And that's what we've been doing for over 20 years. So, potential MSP owners that would like to chat with me or any of our coaches, we're happy to do that. We're happy to, for you to ask us some of the problems that you're facing. And, we've heard them all from, owners that have partner issues to, can't find certain management level people and the business is growing, and how do you overcome that without, working 20 hours a day. So there's lots of what we do in order to round out and not just simplify it down to, the benchmarks and the P&L tell it all. There's quite other things that you do and that we help them with. So yes, anybody can reach out to me in email, and either myself or any one of our coaches that have expertise in operations or on service management or in owner development can all help and work and talk with the owner to make sure that we're providing them an idea that, yes, this is how you should address this particular aspect of your business, whether it's growth or whether it's a specific challenge that they can't overcome or they're not sure. We're happy to talk to them. And at that point, as we talk, we can find out if we can help more, having them be a member of our community.
Got it. Well, thank you, Michael. It's been great having you on here and learning about intelligent decision making and the benchmarks with your service desk and utilization. So until next time, thank you for your time. And I'm Jim Punzenberger. And if you guys are looking to generate leads and or appointments without ad spend or cold calling, check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Once again, managedprospectingsystem.com. And we'll see you next time here on the Profits of IT. Bye for now.
Thank you, Jim. Look forward to the next time. Great job.
Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.